Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Healing Journal where I'm sharing my healing journey in real time. So today I want to talk about when you should let go. Only you are going to know this, but there are a few keys to knowing, and for me this was one of my bigger struggles because I don't like to give up on people. I don't like to give up on my dreams. I don't like to give up, period. But there comes a time where you need to detach. Detaching is something that is very difficult to do if you are someone who enjoys hanging on because you know that if you don't give up, you're going to succeed. The problem with this is if it's requiring other people and other circumstances that don't align with your value system, it's a dead-end road. And you're just going to keep spinning in circles, and you're going to keep spinning and spinning and spinning. Excuse my hair, by the way. This is my due for the day because after this, I'm going to be getting ready for my show. I'm a singer-songwriter, so this is the look for right now before I get ready. So anyway, it's hard to know. And when you're growing, or if you want to grow, it can get a little confusing. Sometimes you don't know because maybe you're attached to somebody from a previous moment in your life, right? So I talk about these levels in a video game because it's a very easy way to kind of compartmentalize, and it's a great analogy. The one thing that we must remember is not everyone is meant to walk with us in our journey. It doesn't matter. Sometimes they'll come and go. Sometimes they'll be there for the long haul, very rarely. And then sometimes they'll just be there for a short while and then they're gone. This is something that I've always struggled with because I remember as a little girl saying goodbye to my grandma. I didn't ever want to say goodbye to grandma. Who wants to say goodbye to grandma for the most part, right? And that's because grandma shows love. My grandma McNamara, her name was Shirley. She was a redhead and she was a singer and a pianist. And it's where I get my music talents from, most of them, I think, anyway. And she just showed this unconditional love for all of us and her family. And it was one of those things that, especially as a child, you feel that because for the first 7 years of your life, your brain is on record, okay? And that's why these types of generational cycles that we must break are so difficult because in those 7 years, you develop these things. And what I developed in the first 7 years of my life, when I was 2.5, my parents moved and we used to live right next to my grandmother. And then we moved for my mom's job and it was great, right? It was time for them to grow. But that meant that we had to say goodbye to people in the family. And for me as a little girl, I was so attached to my grandma that anytime it was time to say goodbye, I was always so sad. And when she passed away, it really hurt over that. And I had to find ways to get through this. And it happened in 20, and I couldn't go to say goodbye to her before she passed because I had COVID. And so just to live with this fact that I couldn't go say goodbye, even though I didn't want to say goodbye, I had to find other ways to handle this. I'm using this example because the most important thing you must remember is that you need to detach with love. And for me, this is the easiest way to compartmentalize this, right? So let's put grandma up back in the heavens here and let's take it back down here to planet Earth and talk about what if that person has hurt you? Because my grandma never hurt me. She was an angel and is. Love you, grandma. So, but what if these people have hurt you? What if these people have made fun of you? What if these people have been abusive, right? What if the situation you thought you were building in your life ended up being a disaster? Well, you still need to find a way to detach with love. It is really hard to do. I don't even have this mastered, by the way, but this is something that I'm currently learning. And that's what I'm sharing here with you today. So you have to recognize when a situation or somebody is good or bad for you. And some of them are very obvious, right? Sometimes they are really nasty to you, or sometimes you just don't know why. You just feel a little empty and stagnant. And this is because when we're trying to grow, if we feel like we're stagnant and we know we want to grow, but we either don't know how or we're not sure how to do it without disrupting our whole life, there's a good chance that you're just going to have to go with it and you're going to have to almost push yourself before you're ready. Because what I've said before is familiarity is comfort. Okay, so this goes both ways, if it's bad or good. So if for you, something that's familiar is nice. We can hang on to some of those things. That's totally fine. But if a certain situation or a person has become something that is familiar, and these toxic cycles, okay, maybe they're going out and drunk driving, okay, that's very scary, and it's upsetting you, and your whole life is flashing before your eyes, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? No barking, Truffles. No barking. I think there's a deer. So, but this is one of those situations where then you might be, and I have in my past been tempted to try to help and fix, right? Instead of letting that person learn their lesson on their own. Because if you love somebody and you want a situation to work out, that's the last thing you want to do is be like, good luck, hope you don't get in trouble. No. What if your finances are embedded, right, with this person? What if this person holds a lot of power in your life? This is when you have to go back to the value system, go back to what works for you, and then listen to your feelings, take that deep breath, and check in with yourself. We just don't do this enough. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm telling you, this is the same foundation for almost everything in your life. So give yourself enough time to decide, okay, I know that I don't feel right in this situation. I know I need to let go of it, but how am I gonna do it? And guess what? It's not gonna feel good right at first usually, because that familiarity, whether it's good or bad, you don't want to let go of. But if you want to evolve into a better version of yourself, and if you have found that a situation or a person or something in your life is continuously making you feel heavy, that is your sign. I have made the massive mistake of holding on to certain relationships in my life or certain circumstances in my life that were pulling me down. I knew these people and these situations weren't necessarily doing it on purpose. At least I hope they weren't. But I don't think that they were. And a lot of times these things happen because other people are unaware of their own actions. And then what happens? Then we become unaware. And then we forget to hold ourselves accountable for things, because then what's happening? We're reacting and reacting. And it could be at somebody on the road. It could be something to do with completely different reasoning. It could be due to somebody just completely trying to sabotage you in your efforts. It could be somebody completely hurting you by using your reaction and accusing you of being the aggressor. I have been in this situation myself many times. It is not fun. I am somebody that's usually pretty good about keeping their cool. I haven't always been that way because I am a truth person, and I cannot stand it when people lie, and I cannot stand it when I'm around people who think they can try to manipulate me to fit their narrative of whatever it is that they're trying to fight for. And a lot of times it goes back to the denial, it goes back to the lies, and it goes back to the manipulation. And if they're good at this, and if this situation has become a familiar norm, you're in deep trouble unless you get out. And it's hard to get away from some of these people, especially if they're alcoholics or narcissists. It is, or let's just say, what if these are people you love and you know that you want them in your life, but you also know that where they're at right now could be hurting you, and where they're at right now is not going to fit where you're at and what your value system is. So you have to create that space. And in letting go, I like to use my grandmother as the thought, right? Find something that you've had to let go of that you love. I have this discussion with Truffles sometimes. Huh, Truffles? I know that Truffles can't last forever. None of us can. But our energy can. Okay? So every day I thank her for hanging with me on my journey, and I hope that I'm giving her energy and I take her energy. And I know that it's my dog, but it's a good example of that detach with love. We come into this life alone and with nothing, and we leave this life alone and with nothing physically, but energy wise, because we're more energy than we are matter, you heard me, then this means that if you start thinking of yourself as this energy ball and you float into a different place energy wise, you could be in the same room with this person and detach. I've not mastered this completely, but I sure am on the other end of the hill, right? So it's like this growth process for me has been like this, and I want to keep going, but a lot of times it's almost like the stock market where it's like, but again, and you can fall and you can crash, but you won't if you reach a certain level, you will then have built the tools. And that's what this is for. That's what I'm trying to share with you and what I've done. So here are some really good signs that it's probably time for you to let go. And like I've always said, don't be afraid of letting go, because if these people and situations are supposed to be with you, they're going to meet you. They're not going to push you down. Okay? And you're not pushing them down, by the way. You're just removing yourself from wherever they're at. All right? Here's some key signs to know it's time to detach. You feel drained and heavy and okay? And this might not be due to anyone else. It might just be something that you've got locked inside of yourself, which is the beauty in these practices, because it's a win-win no matter what the situation is. You can go in, figure out what that heaviness is. You may not even know what the reason is, but you can move that energy around in your body. You can do it with your mind. That is a completely different video, but you can. And the easiest way to do this is just imagine a light inside your body. Maybe you have a headache, maybe you've got an arm ache. Try to remember to breathe all the way from down here, all the way up to the very top of your head. Hold that and let it out. And as you let that out, think of a little energy ball that's already coming up, and then place that energy mentally with your mind throughout your body. I know it sounds crazy. Try it and practice it, even if it's just once a day and it takes you 1 minute to do. Try it. Try it, because this is teaching your brain and it's teaching your mind to connect that brain and heart coherence. This is something that needs to happen, okay? If there are repeated cycles of guilt or somebody trying to place blame, blah, 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 me, the finger, remember? 3 fingers pointed back at them, 1 at you. It's time, if you know that you've held yourself accountable and you've done everything that you can, and they're still blaming you and they aren't doing anything to improve themselves, that is a true sign that it is time. I've been there. That's where I'm at right now. Trust me on this one. Now, remember that it doesn't mean resentment. And a lot of times, for me personally, I've been surrounded by a lot of addicts. I love these people so much, but they don't love themselves, right? So what happens? I then have to figure out how I detach with love. The way that I do this is I think of the addiction or the problem or the bad energy as a separate thing than from them, because I believe everybody has the ability to choose what energy they are. Now, some people might not. I don't know. I'm not them. But this is something that I have found to be helpful for me in compartmentalizing the situation of, okay, does this person belong in my life or not? Are they bringing just as much growth to the table? And a lot of times, I'm not talking about keeping score. I'm talking about being intuitive and feeling that energy. It doesn't mean like, well, I meditated today and you didn't. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people and situations showing growth improvement. It doesn't have to be as fast as you. That's impossible. You can't ever just be on the same exact, we're all unique and individuals, and we should be practicing that. Now you can, it's like find your vibe, find your tribe situation. Everybody could be like floating like this. But if somebody's way over here and you're way over here, or you're way up here and somebody's over here, and you don't find some kind of middle ground here, that's the problem. And a lot of times, especially in relationships, we love these people and the love is very real. And the love is usually this, but if it's not, it's gonna feel like this, okay? And if it feels like this way more than it feels like this, okay? I know that's kind of a strange hand movement, but it makes sense to me. So again, be mindful of this. When you are doing this, it is really important to find a support system, whether that is a group online, and for me, it was and is some very, very close friends. Not many. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of relationships in my personal life that really I was not expecting to lose, okay? People who believed lies, people who decided to get too involved. I am at fault for trying to involve other people because I was desperate to fix the situation instead of walk away, okay? These are the things that you have to still be mindful of. But find those things. And guess what? If you're completely alone, which I have been completely alone for a lot of this journey, okay? Now, by that I mean internally, I'm all by myself at this house for the most part, and I just don't really have like that everyday thing. But I leaned into that. I leaned into not having the everyday in-person support. Why? Because, again, This whole journey is about figuring out how to do that and then adding what's right into it, okay? Your journey is sacred. You have to take care of yourself in this situation. So, if you're staying too long, you're gonna feel it. You know when you're at a party and you're like, probably time to leave. Listen to that. We have that in us. Maybe you don't even want to go to the party. We have that in us. Just put yourself in check. And if you're not sure, you're allowed to try it out and be like, no, it's not for me. That's what life is. Okay? So detach with love. And for me, I like to think of this as, okay, I really loved the good things, but it's not just about loving the good things. You gotta love the bad things too. But you also have to be like, I'm grateful. Here's the bad box, right? There it is, the empty promises, empty everything on the pedestal. Okay, it's empty. It's not recharging me. It's not giving me anything anymore. This isn't working. I'm being made out to be the bad guy and the villain. Meanwhile, I know that I'm centered, and I know that I've gone to therapy. I know that I've gone to Al-Anon. I know that I have repaired my relationship with myself, with my higher power, okay? I know that I have tried to fuel my body with good food. I know that I've cut back on anything toxic that I've put into my body for the most part. None of us are perfect, okay? This isn't about perfection. This isn't about getting the gold star. And this isn't about parading your good and your bad everywhere to get attention. This is about honesty and vulnerability. And for me, that's why I wanted to wait to put these videos out, because, you know, it's by nature my thing to put things out to the public, because that's who I am born to be, is a messenger from higher things back into the people. I know that's what I'm supposed to do. That's why I'm a singer. Okay, I'm a messenger. And I believe in light. I believe in putting light into the darkness. But you have to meet that darkness, okay? And when you do that, and when you accept the things, and you let go, and you detach with love, I know it sounds like gibberish if you haven't done this, but just practice it with something really small, okay? I hope that helps you. I'm thinking of you. I appreciate all of your support in this journey, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.